Good afternoon. How is everyone doing? We'll see who's all in the chat. Let's wake up Mubot right here. I was fixing the intro screen right there. And we'll see if anyone is in the chat. We've got an interview booked for next week. I'm going to set up a really cool interview screen. I'm looking at some really great ways to do the presentation right here. So I'm looking at Talking Baseball. Looks like a good podcast right here. So shouts to them right there, Talking Baseball. I like the way they set it up. I might do our interview that way. I'm going to try to recreate their scene. So if you're in the chat, feel free to say hi. It's office hours, and we're just here right now, just relaxing, but lots of great news I'll be announcing to the classes. And let's see if any activity on the Discord. Everyone is having a good time. I'm going to announce this in the Business Analytics Discord over here, the event. Let's go drop that link. Interviewing someone who is working with the Astros and in sports. It's Monday at 6:30 or 7:30. Oh my gosh. Time zones PM. Note the thumbnail. Let's see. No one's in the chat yet. We are streaming, it looks like. So, yep. Well, we'll see if there's any questions. Maybe we'll talk over. Maybe we'll do some code to start right here. Let's pull up some code right here. We'll put a timestamp in the video and get some code going. So let's see if you join in. Let's put up the Brian's taking questions right here. There we go. Taking questions and just hanging out. Okay, so if you jump in, feel free to ask a question. Let's just talk about some coding for 474 and stuff. Coding, let's go grab a timestamp. And here we go. BAS, how to code. Okay, let's go check that out. Here we go. So I think a lot of people are usually very, very afraid of coding. You say coding and people are like, oh, I don't code. I don't do that. I don't want to code. I don't know how to code. I can't code. And what I usually say to people is we always start from the beginning. We always start from scratch, assuming you know nothing in these classes. And we're not computer science, so don't worry, we're not going to go to like the highest levels. I wish we did. I probably should learn the highest levels, but I'm not even there. So don't worry. One day you'll catch up to me. It'll probably be pretty soon. And so we start at the very, very beginning with coding, and we start with things like simple as 2 plus 2. And I may say, well, that's not coding. What is? It's just math, and you can code math. So we already have some code we know. Most people should know that. It's all right if you don't, but we're here to show you how to code. But you might be wondering, what is everything on the screen right here? Like, what's going on with all this stuff on the screen? Well, I always like to equate this box right here in RStudio, and what we're in right now is called RStudio. It's basically what we call a graphical user interface, GUI, which means you've got kind of buttons. So if you think, what's a GUI? Well, Windows. This whole thing down here, this whole Windows thing is a graphical user interface. So we got some meta right here. We got a graphical user interface being used inside of another graphical user interface because you got all these buttons you can press. So you got buttons you can press up here, a bunch of buttons, and that's a graphical user interface. Rather than just using R, which is just coding, and using R is no fun. If you just use R, I don't find that. Where can we go to base R? See, I don't even know how to get there anymore. If we're to go to R, I can't even find it. Wait. I think I found it. It's RStudio. I'm having the hardest time. Well, let's see if I go to my programs. Put up the block right here while we do this. See, it's even hard to get to the program. Here we go. I'm searching all programs. There it is. R. Found it. Okay. And I have no idea why someone would do this. So here we are inside of R. This is R. There's a few buttons up there, but nothing really fun and cool. And this is R. You can go 2 plus 2 and run it, and there you go. Very hard to see right there. I don't even know how to increase font size. It tells you how much I use just base R with R, just the programming language. So this box right here, what you see is basically this box down here. This is where we are going to run our code. Right down here is where all the code is being run. Well, you might say, weren't you writing your code up here? Why are you writing it up there if you're going to run it down there? Well, up top is basically your workspace. You can just be up here and say like, hello. You can say x equals 2. You can say x plus x. And look, I'm not running any code. I'm just kind of working away and creating what I want to do. And then I could say, okay, let's run all that code right there. So this is where the code is run. And up there is where you create your code, which is kind of nice because you don't have those options. We might already closed out of R. You don't have those options if you're working inside of R. You would be running all your code. You'd be writing the code and running it, and I could create a big script, but I don't like working inside of just R. I like to have my script up here, and I like to have where I run my code down here. Now you heard me use a word right there called script. Think of a script as like, you hand someone a script that they're going to read. You say, here's the script, and they read down the script. So when you give R a script, which is up here up top, this is a script. Now you'll notice a script looks like this. That's an R script right here. But over here is an RMD file. More on those in a moment. But an R script is just the basic R file that R is going to read and do what you say. It's going to do the script. You say, here, read this script. And it says, okay, here's what I got to do. And then it runs it down here. Now up here, I love this portion because this is the brain of R. And this portion right here is the brain. It's everything it currently knows. There's a lot of other options like the history, connections, tutorial, but we'll only focus on this tab right now called the environment. Hey, what's up, Zach? Great to see you. Zach, if you have questions, feel free. I'm just kind of ranting about how to use R in RStudio in case anyone comes back and checks this out later for my upper level classes who maybe need a refresher or an intro to R. So if you have questions, Zach, drop them in the chat. Zach, let's throw you some points. So good to see you here. So just drop a question, be like, hey, Brian, I'm looking at this. How do I do this? Whatever you're wondering about, we can explain. So this is the brain of R up here. And there's other options to look at the history of what you've run, the connections to what you're connected to in RStudio, and tutorials, which I've never actually looked at. You've got other things down here like your plots, your files, your packages, help, viewer, and all these things are really great. And they are what they say they are. You can view the files on your computer. If you make a plot, it'll appear in the plot window. So we just plotted the number 2. And if you know, that's what 2 looks like. You can make a histogram of the number 2. That's what a histogram of the number 2 looks like. So all these plots will appear here in the plot window. Packages are currently installed packages. These are like things you've brought into R to help out R. You can see my about 10 billion packages. dplyr, gotta have dplyr for those who know R. There's all like, I got mice on my computer. Oh, no. Got mice everywhere. Mice is that the one? It's one package. Help is really great because if you don't know how to use a function, you could just go question mark on it and it'll go to the help automatically. And then you can read about the function and it'll tell you about how to use the function. And down here at the very end, it always has examples of what to do, showing you how to use it, usually with a very basic example to start, making a histogram of islands, probably a data set we already have. And so if we run this right here, we can get a histogram of islands and they'll show you how to use the function and you can usually just copy paste the code. The viewer is going to be used for more advanced pictures. So I still have something in my viewer right here. This is a Plotly image I created showing the passengers, I think from Australia in thousands who were taking economy on ANZ Airlines. And if you notice the graphic changes, so you could actually put this onto a web page. It also interacts and you can do kind of cool features like this. So R can be used for really good graphics. You can make some really cool graphics, change the colors on these, lots of fun stuff. And that's over here in the viewer. So you just kind of got like your creation space, like what do you have loaded onto your computer? Do you need help with stuff? Do you want to look at some plots you've created? And you can go back in time, look at the other plots you were creating. Also, do I have anything else in the viewer? Oh, I currently do. What else did I create? We were creating some, we're using the diamonds data set and creating different, no, this is the iris data set. We're using the iris data set and looking at different species of flowers and looking at their petal and sepal length. For anyone who's coded in R, it's a very common thing to do using this data set. And we can see here, we can actually remove things, we can zoom in on things and look at just certain portions of plots. And that's kind of the really cool feature of making some nice plots inside of R is you can make these interactive graphics and see what's going on. And it's not that hard to make all this code. We were making bar charts. Yeah. So you got all these different types of graphics that we were creating, showing the different things that can be done. And I always love right here. So we're just kind of using some plug and play code. If you have questions though, let let me know right now, but kind of understanding this layout to be like, okay, here's the stuff I'm creating. Here's what my R knows up here in the brain. And over there is where I'm running my code. And up here's where I'm writing my code. I'm writing my code here. I'm telling it to learn things here. Here's where I'm creating stuff. Oh, chapter 1 and 2 videos. Yeah. Let's post those. You're doing Statistics 201, chapters 1 and 2. Let's talk about that, like how to get ahead. Let's switch over to that. So that's a basic run through of RStudio. I'm going to update this right here. Like, let's call it BAS, Understanding RStudio. It's a basic kind of walkthrough of what RStudio is. And let's do a new segment here. Zach, thank you for the question. So the question is, where can I find chapter 1 and 2 videos? So let me put a timestamp here in the video so people can check this out later. And Stat Tool 1, reviewing advice for reviewing material. Okay, let's go check this out. So MuBot has a link in the chat right now, and here it is right here. We're jumping over to it. Is it going to load? It did load. So this link right here brings you over to the Review 1 page. Any sort of review can be accessed with !review 1, !review 2, !review 3. But if you forget those links or are not here in the chat, you can always go to the Stat Tool 1 webpage, which is stattool1.utk.edu, and then go to the exam reviews. Don't go to that. Go to the exam reviews right here, and you'll see, and we'll zoom in on those, you'll see Exam Review 1, Exam Review 2, Exam Review 3, and just click Exam Review 1. So once you go to Exam Review 1, you'll see the materials posted right here with review material. Also, I've got speed runs, so you can go to the speed runs. You can go to the practice test questions. So you can see here practice test questions, just example questions like the normal curve. Got to know the normal curve. And you'll see here I go through and walk through an example and show you kind of how a test question could look, where you might have to figure out the area. What is it? The percent of customers that waited longer than David. We know David's Z-score. You might think, ooh, this looks really complicated. But if you've done a lot of stats, let's see right here. See if anyone in the chat knows. A negative Z-score means that an observation would be where to the mean. That's kind of the first thing I would identify about this problem. I'd see a negative Z-score. So if you know something has a negative Z-score, negative on the Z-score indicates to you something is where to the mean. I'll give this 30 seconds right here. We'll just throw in a review question right here. What does it mean for something to have a negative Z-score? If something has a negative Z-score, David has a negative Z-score. That should tell us something pretty quickly. And we can actually narrow this down to 2 choices. Yeah, Zach, you got it. You're actually right. It means he's below the mean. You got it. Great guess. 50 points right there, Zach. That's it. That's where he's at. The Z-scores represent how many standard deviations something is above or below the mean. So when you see this Z-score, and don't worry, we haven't done chapter 5 yet, but the context of the Z-score is, or at least what it means, is David was 0.55 standard deviations below the mean. The question previously, if we go to the earlier parts, gives you the mean and the standard deviation. So the mean is 4.9 and the standard deviation is 1.4, and David is 0.55 standard deviations below the mean. So you're exactly right to say he's left of the mean. He's below the mean. Now, I want you to think about this really quickly. Let's take a quick screenshot of this. And I think if you know this and you draw this, you can actually tell me right there, Zach, the answer to this question. Zach, for another 50 points, we want to know the percent of customers that take longer than David. And what percent of take a guess about the area I've shaded in. What do you think it's A, B, C, D, E, or F? Which of these do you think represents it? A, B, C, D, E, or F? What would you guess looking at that area right there? If you drew this out for the test, and don't worry, if you're like, that's easy. A lot of students got to this question, they're like, I got no idea. I got no idea. And I would say, draw it out. I would say, draw your normal curve. Draw the normal curve, see what it shows you. Does it give you any indication that'd be A, B, C, D, E, or F? And we can actually narrow down one of the choices. There's a few ways we should narrow down some choices. I'll show it. Zach, you got it? That's it? Zach, you just got what many students considered a very hard question on the test. When we gave this test right here, students were like, how are you supposed to solve this? They're like, I don't have the applet, which is all right. I understand applet makes it super easy. I can tell you the exact percentage using the applet. But if you look at it, it's like you should intuitively kind of know some things. And the intuitive things we should figure out is above here is 50%. meaning that we have more than 50%. Now, what you wouldn't know at this point is you're a good guesser. You got it. And the thing you might not know at this point is above here is 97.5%. And that's why we use this number. So your answer that you give has to be logically between 50% to 97.5, but not inclusive. So these answers right here are wrong because they are the bounds by which you would give an answer. It has to be less than this, but it has to be more than this. These are the bounds of what is just theoretically, it has to be less than more than. So those answers right there, you will learn the 97.5 due to the 68, 95, 99.7, which is the empirical rule. So you will know those numbers, and you would, after you've learned chapter 5, know that above a z-score of -2 is 97.5. I'm not going to go into great detail on that, but this is where if you get this question really quickly, you're like, well, it has to be between 50 to 97.5. The only plausible answer is 71. Also, looking at it would probably be like, it's more than 50. So you can narrow it down pretty quickly. So great job, Zach. When it comes to chapters, I would suggest watching the chapter reviews. And here's categorical variables, and here's quantitative. So I go over like Pareto charts right here. You don't want Pareto plots, either which way. That's how I looked at it. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. That's why I say to students, draw it out, Zach. I'm like, draw it out. Whenever you get to a question, like go to your scratch sheet of paper, draw it out, try to use whatever information you have available to us, because usually it's like, okay, so where is the z-score located? It's 0.55 standard deviations below the mean. We're trying to shade the area above it. Let me see what that looks like. Oh, it's more than half, and it's definitely not 97.5. Okay, it has to be this answer. That question is pretty quick once you draw it out. If you don't draw it out, you're like, oh, z-score -0.55. What's going on? So these reviews right here, that's a mosaic plot. We should kind of know, it says it right there. We should know these things right here and learn these topics about what are mosaic plots, what are contingency tables, what's a marginal distribution, what's a conditional distribution. And a great way to review said topics is to go over here and go to, I think they changed the chapter numbers. I'm very sorry about that. They're always changing chapter numbers, and you see some long hair Brian right here. But if you want a more in-depth review, the speedrun, funny enough, I think might do a better job of talking about these things. So what I would suggest, Zach, right now is I would go in and watch the speedrun to hear ideas of like marginal distribution, conditional distribution. What does it mean for something to be independent versus dependent? Like, tell me right here. You ready? We've got the red graphic. We got the blue graphic. We've got test A, test B, and whether people pass or people fail. In what graphic would passing or failing depend upon the test you took? So you might say, well, both maybe. Well, one of them is a little more dependent. So which of these is more dependent, like your grade, pass or fail, dependent on the test you took? Which of these looks more dependent? And this will kind of go over some other topics here in a second. But this is what I walked through in the video, but it's better to have a conversation on these things. So which of these graphics looks more dependent? Like your grade, passing or failing, would depend on if you took version A of the test or version B. Which of them looks more dependent, the red or the blue? Which of those looks more dependent? We'll see what people say. Actually, want the other music. The blue, you are right. So now we need to kind of talk about a way to describe this. Why is it more dependent? And we actually kind of know this. We can't even tell people this. We would say, given someone took test B, they had a higher probability of passing. Given someone took test A, they had a lower probability of passing. What you just talked about is the conditional, even I'll get it wrong. The conditional distribution, it sets a condition. Given someone took test A, given someone took test B. The marginal distribution is down here, which is the percent of people out of the total who took A or B. You can see here that more people took B because it's a wider bar. That doesn't say anything about whether they passed or failed. It's just more people took B. That is the marginal distribution, which is in the margin. The conditional distribution mentions both variables, but looks inside of one of them. So conditional, given someone took A, they had a lower probability of passing than given someone took B, they had a higher probability of passing. So you've just kind of talked about one of the big concepts right there of what does it mean for something to be independent versus dependent? And when we have differences in the conditional distribution, which we see here, things are more dependent. When we have differences in the conditional distribution, things are more dependent. As in, when you take test A versus B, your grade depends on it, because there's differences in like what we see with test A students and test B students. You have to put it in your own words. You have to think through it. That's why I try to rephrase things, say it like 3 times, but different ways each time, because one of those ways might stick. You might be like, oh, wait a minute. If someone took test B, they were more likely to pass, so their grade is going to be dependent on the test they take. What should I say before class on Friday? Oh, you're fine. There's no class on Friday. No Friday class. Haslam Friday. We have no Friday classes. I would, if you want to get ahead, if you want to practice, I would go here to this review page. I'll drop it in the chat here again. If you want to be ahead of the game and feel like you are just know the material, I go to this review page and watch the videos. These are going to be like less of a conversation, but if you focus in for like 11 minutes, then you'll get a good kind of preview, kind of speed run of the chapters. So you can go to these videos and watch them and watch example questions, chapter reviews. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to be like, let me just kind of prep my mind. And it's much easier to understand stuff when you've already created a space for it. So in truth, I wish I could run a study where I have students watch the speed runs the night before class. And then like we have 100 random students watch the speed runs the night before the class. 100 random students don't get to access them, which is not really ethical in education. But we run this and then we see if someone's grade is explained by them watching the speed runs the night before the class or not. Like, does that tell us any sort of variation? And if we randomly select the students for the 100 groups who watch it and the 100 group who don't, and that's like the key difference right there, then we could see if it actually makes a difference. My theory is that it actually preps your mind and gets you ready. It just makes sense theoretically that you hearing something before I teach it would lead you to maybe ask questions or think through it a little bit and find knowledge gaps if you have them. But it's a theory. It's how usually learning works, is you have to hear things multiple times. That's why I repeat things. Yep, Zach, ask any questions you have. Zach, it is all your questions. Feel free to ask. And that's awesome. That thumbnail should be updating. We have jump assignments. Should we change? Should we save our changes to them and keep them? The screenshot. Reply. There we go. Answering questions on the Discord. Let's head back to the main screen. Taking questions right now. Ask away. It is just time for questions. Zach, if you have more questions, let me know. We'll just put on a little chill music. It's not chill enough. If you have questions, just drop them in the chat. And we'll answer all questions. Let's see what people are wondering. Oh, awesome. Oh, awesome. Wow, he's got a really good background right there. Cool. Did I close out of that? Okay, I'm going to create this image right here as we do this. Relaxing office hours now, just taking questions. Drop those questions. Is there somewhere that states what chapters we need to know by certain dates, like class times? I like to go before you teach it. Good question. Basically, we go in order. Good question right there, Zach. We go in order. So I would say it's the biggest thing is like just going in order. Like I would start looking at chapter 2 right now. We've done chapter 1, so I'd start looking at chapter 2. Be like, okay, time for some chapter 2. And then once we do chapter 2, I'd be like, time to do some chapter 3. The due dates on Canvas are probably a good indication of when you need to know them by. So maybe try to do things a week before the due date on Canvas. So my best advice would be 1 week before they're due on Canvas, look into them. That gives you a week to kind of like, ask questions. And the thing is, we're always like, okay, last minute, I'll look at it. I'm that way too. I'm always doing things last minute. But once I realize if I start doing things earlier and I run into problems, I can make my life way easier. So it's just by asking questions. Run into problems early and then ask questions when you get stuck. And yeah, so don't start last minute. It's like everyone's gonna tell you, don't do a lot of things last minute, and it's like you'd be shocked about how much it helps to not do things last minute. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Actually, I'm getting a higher quality image of the book. Ask questions if you got them. Okay, we're taking the higher quality image of the book. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, there we go there. Are you into sports, Zach, at all? We just got awesome. See you later, Zach. If you'll drop in, feel free to say, hey, I'm making the thumbnail for the video right now. And so I'm going to get this thumbnail fixed up. I thought I had it done, and then I realized I put the wrong person in the thumbnail. Errors. Let's see. Okay. And then I need to grab the... Okay, let me go grab the thing. If you have questions, let us know. Okay. YouTube thumbnail size. This looks accurate. Okay. Copy image. There we go. I put so much stuff on it. Okay, got the thumbnail size editor. Okay. If you have questions, let me know. Just hanging out right now, getting a thumbnail ready. And crop the image. Make sure I get his school in there. I need to go a little wider. This is what happens when a non-art person tries to make art. It's somehow my career became related to art, and I somehow I became the art person for my channel. And I think that's got it. Got a higher quality image of the book, high quality image of him. It's got some of the yellow. That should do it. Okay, let's see right here. Okay, got that ready. Let me re-upload the thumbnail. Here we go. And see how it looks after I upload this. And save it. And it's saving. Looks like it did all right. Got it. Oh, I got to type on his name too. Oh my God, I said Frank. Wow. Wow. And awesome. Got the typo fixed in the name. There we go. Typo. Let's go drop the image of it. It's got it. It's like YouTube always like downscales image quality. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Just relaxing off stars right now. Start of the semester. Just nice and chill. Well, that's got it. The image is updated. We're good to go. Let's see. Does it update the picture? It's still not updating the picture. I wish it would. Remove this. I've changed the image. I want to like remake the event. Awesome. If you're here in Office Hours, feel free to say hi. I'm just getting some work done, drinking some hot coffee on everyday Office Hours. There's a guy in my mug. See what people say. It is up. People are viewing the event. Let me see if it actually posts. I might post about it on LinkedIn because we've pretty much just confirmed. So start a post. Is it going to give the image loading preview? Yes, it's doing it properly. Next Monday at 6:30, 7:30. Did we change times? 7:30 works best. Cool. He said 7:30 p.m. Eastern. If you have questions, let me know. Just gonna get a little more work done here. Just relaxing office hours. Jump in, have a question. All I know is YouTube. I don't know how to do sports and let's post. Sure. Oh, I've already got one mutual connection. What? Is it a random person? Wait, I know this person. I should have just reached out to them and said, that's too funny. I already have a mutual connection with them. That's amazing. Look forward to speaking with you next week. Okay, good to go. Awesome. Craziness. Well, we're good to go. Just relax. Or if you have a question, let me know. We might do some more RStudio in the background. Just checking out. I think I can show my Amazon account right here. I've got Jeremy's book coming in on, I believe, Saturday. They said it'll get here. So I ordered Jeremy's book yesterday. Pretty much looked like everything was confirmed. I was like, hey, let's just order. There's actually two volumes of this book. The first one came out in 2019, I believe, and the second one came out in 2020. So I should have the book here on hand, and we'll be talking about. We'll probably be talking about his journey and sports and analytics, and kind of his suggestions to students. That's always what I want people to hear is kind of suggestions and how to achieve that path in life that you're looking to go down, how to be successful. And I think he's got a lot of great tips because he's done a great job. And so that's what's really exciting is getting to hear from someone who's achieving what a lot of students want to achieve. So let him be a role model for you. And I'm very excited that he'll get to be talking to the students. And so, yeah, looking forward to it. And I should be able to look through some of the book. I'm not the fastest of readers. I'm not the most careful of grammar people either. I make a lot of typos. Make a lot of typos all the time. Typos every day. Let's head back over here to R&R Studio. And let's go check it out. Putting in that timestamp and check out this later if you want. 3858 BAS Basics in R. Let's go do this. Okay, so some just R basics to begin with. We've already talked a little bit about, what is RStudio? Something we covered a little bit today here. But now let's look at just some basics things we can do. What I'm doing is I'm clearing out all this stuff. I'm clicking the little dust pans right here and just saying, clean that up. I don't want to see these plots. It's too big for the window anyways. Just remove these things from my brain. Just clear that up. You see this little dustpan right here. You can just clear it up. That's a little dustpan right there. If you put something here like hello, and it says I can't find hello, and you get a bunch of do try catch arrows, you can say I don't want anyone to know about that. So we can use the dustpans to quickly kind of clear what we're doing. It doesn't really run any code. Well, I guess when you clear the global environment, it's removing all the things from your brain because that's what everything R knew at that moment inside of its global environment. But it's much easier to just kind of start from scratch a lot of times if you're going to build something new. So that's what we're going to kind of do right here is just build something very, very basic. I really, so I've got two nephews now. And one of these days I want to teach them how to code. I better watch out. They'll be like teenagers soon. I'll be like, one of these days I'm going to teach them how to code. And then they'll be in college. I'll be like, one of these days, oh, they're already in college. Oh, they're already working. They already have a job. They're already married. They're having kids. Time flies by. So maybe I should, next time I see them, talk about coding with them. And then their parents will be like, why? Why, Uncle Brian? So here's what I would tell them. I'd say, Tolliver, clear my throat. I'd say, Tolliver, do you know 2 + 2? And he'd say, yes, I do. I say, okay, let's do it. Let's do it right here. 2 + 2. There you go. Now, what I'm hitting at the end of this is I'm hitting Control-Enter. If you just hit regular old enter, you'll go down spaces, but Control-Enter tells it to send it to the console down here, which is going to run it, evaluate the code. So you could just go down here and type 2 + 2 and then just hit regular old enter. But then we can't really access the code. We can by going up. If you press up, you'll go through the code you previously run, or down, kind of some classic DOS commands right there. But with this right here, we don't usually write our code down here because it's more like throwaway code. You could do something if you're like, oh, what is a blah, 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 plus blah, 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 and you just want to know that. Well, then you could just run it down there. But if we want to access something later and manipulate it, I can manipulate this later. I can't click on it. So that's why we usually, there's always exceptions. We usually don't write our stuff down here. We usually write it up there. We can kind of like work on a notepad on it. You can see the different lines. You say, oh, line 2's got an error. Oh, let me look at that. 2 plus 24, what's the error? You say, I wanted it to be 2 plus 2. And you go here and you fix it. That's why we usually write our code up there. So Tolliver, hopefully he understands that. I said we're going to write our code up here. We got our 2 plus 2. And he's always asking me, he says, like, Uncle Brian, what's the biggest number? I said, let's think of a number. Let's do 2 really big numbers. Let's do like this right here. Let's go that. And then let's add it to 2. That's all we're doing. It's actually so big, it's not even really showing it. So he might get mad at me and he might say, Uncle Brian, I don't see a 2 on that. And I say, well, it's abbreviating. It's kind of rounding at this point. It's just putting it into what we call scientific notation. So we automatically notice R can do scientific notation. So Tolliver might say, oh, this scientific notation thing. I say, well, this represents how many zeros are on it. There's 7 zeros after the leading 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. The parents automatically say, Uncle Brian, you're doing too much. I might say to him, how many zeros are after that 100 right there? Just look at the 100 and count the zeros. Say 2. Well, then I say, how could we write that if there's 2 zeros? What could we change on this right here to express to the computer the idea of 100, but using this way of writing it? It's just a different way of writing it. It's saying 1, and then I want to put this many zeros after it. That's all that E plus whatever that means right there. And so I remember 2 zeros, 100. This time it didn't return scientific notation. I gave it scientific notation, and it returned back the number. So what's really cool, especially for us, I might say, well, Tolliver, did you know 1,000,000 has 6 zeros behind it? So what should we put right here? And we just wrote 1,000,000. And what's really cool is instead of doing all those zeros and keeping track of them, if I know 1,000,000,000 has this, there's 1,000,000,000, there's 1,000,000,000,000, and I can easily write all these numbers very quickly. It's probably not going to be so useful for doing 100, because 100, remember, has 2 zeros after it. But things like 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 or 1,000,000,000,000 or a quadrillion or a sextillion, centillion, octillion, no, I don't even know what 9 is. I don't know that one. Dodecatrillion, with just tons of zeros. A Googleplex. I've told them about the biggest numbers I know. So we can write these numbers very quickly and give the computer the idea of this. The computer now hears what we're communicating to it. I'm just saying to it 1,000,000. It says, oh, 1,000,000, 100. We can even use the number 1 this way. I could say, Tolliver, I want you to look at this. This is a confusing question. How many zeros does 1 have after it? Do you see any zeros? It doesn't have any zeros, right? Well, there you go. There's 1, expressed in scientific notation. So this is really neat right here. We can do a lot of things very, very quickly. We can express these ideas. But this is kind of math and coding. It's still coding. We're still doing some coding right here. But what are some other things we could do? Tolliver has started learning his multiplication tables. And so we can do multiplication. Let's do a little bit of multiplication right here. Do 2 times 2. That's just adding 2 to itself. So that's 2 plus 2 again anyways. But we can go to more complex things like 2 times 3. But why not do both at the same time? Wait, how did we just do both? I used a little bit of a different notation right here. So this is where we're starting to see a little bit more coding and mathematics kind of combining together. We have to know what this is. What is this? This stands for the vector of 2 and 3. When you think of a vector, just think of things in a line. So I can make a vector by saying 2 and 3. Or I could call a vector by doing the numbers from 2 to 3, which is 2 and 3. If you notice, what the code returns is the same thing. Because Tolliver might not want me to do 2 times 2 and 2 times 3. He likes big numbers. So he might say, Uncle Brian, let's go to some big numbers. Let's do 2 times 5 and 2 times 100. And there's 2 times 5 and 2 times 100. It's a operation on a vector, mathematical or multiplication operation on a vector. So all it does is do 2 times that number and 2 times this number. So now we have the answer to both of those questions. And so when you look at this right here, you might notice we've actually gone into something a little bit more detailed. We now have a C right here. The C is a function which represents concatenate. So what is a function? Let's talk about that briefly. What are functions? Functions are basically like telling someone to do something. Like, this is not a real function, but if I had a function called dinner and I put inside of here pizza, that is saying, for dinner, I want pizza. And I'm going to have pizza for dinner. That's what that function does. It's not literally going to do it. There's no dinner function. I can't get pizza that quickly. But then we might have a second argument. And the second argument might be 7 p.m. So think now the function's going to know pizza for dinner at 7 p.m. because it's whatever I'm going to make for dinner. It's going to create that dinner for me at 7 p.m. We could go right here and we could say maybe I could go side dishes equals 2. So now we have an additional argument. I'm going to have pizza at 7 p.m. and there's going to be 2 side dishes. It's going to probably be at my mom's, maybe green beans or something healthy. Green beans are healthy, right? I don't know. Can't say French fries are healthy. They're potatoes, right? So these are what I'm telling it. You might have heard an additional word. Functions have arguments. Arguments are basically the ideas inside the function. So the dinner function creates dinner for me. And the arguments are what controls how dinner is made. Dinner will be pizza at 7 p.m. and side dishes will be 2. We could even call each argument a name like what. And what is for dinner? Pizza. When is dinner? 7 p.m. So we're setting these arguments to values and saying the what for dinner is pizza. The when for dinner is 7 p.m. The side dishes that will come with dinner is 2. So a function just does something for you. Some of the basic functions we have is something like, let's say here, think of the most basic functions I can think of. Concatenate's a pretty small one. Let's go here to paste. Paste takes hello and Brian and does what to it? Paste them together. So there's 2 arguments right here. The first argument is the word hello, and the second argument is Brian, and then what does it do? It pastes them together. We could do the same thing and paste more things together, say hello, Brian, and Tolliver. And what will we get? Everything will be pasted together. Hello, Brian and Tolliver. So it's going to take all those things and paste them together for us into one, what we would call character string. So you have to think, what am I telling the computer to do? Paste says, hey, here's some things I want pasted together. Put all these things pasted together. You could even take some ideas and grow this. Well, we saw earlier, we made our vector. Let's see right here. Let's try using paste in our vector. And let's take 2 times 3. Okay, 2 times 3, right? So we got that. That's 6. And then we're going to take and go paste and say 2 times 3 is, and then let's put the answer right here. So now the first argument inside of this is the phrase 2 times 3 is, and then the second argument is whatever that evaluates to. So it is 2 times 3, but that will be evaluated because it's going to evaluate to 6. So then when we run this right here, it says 2 times 3 is 6. I'll be right back, everybody. One moment. The fun of teaching from home. It's like random calls on the door. So let's see right here. So now that we have this right here, 2 times 3 is 2 times 3. And there we go right there. 2 times 3 is 6. We can even do bigger ideas. Because watch this. Why not put in here the idea of 2 right there and do this? And I want to point this out. If you notice how I'm coding here in what we like to say, little bits. You don't want to code everything at one time because you want to see if what you're running creates what you're looking for. Because now we have 2 times 3 is 2 times 3. But let's change this one. You see we have to put the end of the string. Then we have to put the new string. Little bits. Rose knows what's up right there. And Rose, thank you so much. Some 20 points right there. If you have any questions, Rose, let me know. We can talk about, I know which class you're in. We can talk about that. And we have 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. So if you notice, we just made these small little changes right here. Now it evaluates to 2 times 3. So what's the point of this, Brian? What's the point of this? Well, what if we were to then give Tolliver the ability to ask any question? So let's say this right here. Let's make a function. And this is where you get to the advanced portions of the classes. And the function, we're creating our own function with ideas. And let's say multiply this. So we need to put in 2 arguments, an x and a y. So it's going to multiply these 2 ideas. And then we're just going to put this right here. We're going to say return this right here. We're going to return this value. I'm not going to go through returns. This is where I might lose Tolliver very quickly. And then think about this. This is the x you put in. This is the y you put in. And then it multiplies the 2. So let's do multiply this. And now it'll tell Tolliver 8 times 9. 8 times 9 is 72. So we just created our own custom function that has 2 inputs. And that might help people. If you see this right here, this might be the moment like, oh, these are the arguments Brian has for his function now, which then inputs them into here. And this is saying, what is your first value you're multiplying by? We could even call it first or something like that. And then what is the second value? And when Brian inputs these, they are put into here, and then he gets the return of whatever it is. If you understood this, this is something we're doing in these senior level classes, like these ideas, and we're just building upon them. So we just did a multiply this. 8 times 9 is 72. So we now can do anything. I usually like to make mine look a little bit nicer. I'm going to do a cat on that. I don't think we need the return on the cat. There it goes. Cat just prints to the screen without a capturable output. So there's always these small little changes you can make, especially if you double click on something, you can then change it from paste to cat to print. All these little tiny differences. Oh, it doesn't like print, so you're not going to get it with a print. Oh, I might not have evaluated it. I probably didn't. It broke it. You'll break your functions all the time. Rose probably knows that. If you're creating something, it's going to break all the time. There's going to be problems. You're just going to run into so many issues. So many issues when it comes to functions. Just not going to work at certain times. Function's going to break, and you're going to be like, well, got to fix it. Got to fix that function. But with this right here, we can just do so many things. Because now I could change this function right here to a times table. I wonder actually if it already does that. Functions loops break like twigs. As soon as will this run a loop? Let's look at this. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's too funny. We could put in here some warnings rows, or we could put some checks to make sure it's of length 1. That's going to go a little bit more advanced coding. But I could go if length of y is not equal to 1, then stop the function. So if, no, I need to, not like that, it's an if then format. Stop and say, please only input 1 value for y. Okay. And then we could take and put right here x, input x, and rerun our function. There we go. So now we just put in, and this is where you want to get with coding. I know I'm going very quickly right now, and so just kind of maybe trying to showcase that when you have the idea and you know how to express it, it's almost like you're just talking to the computer. You're just saying, if there is, if someone does not input one thing, so I'm checking the length of what someone inputs, which is how many things they input. So someone broke my function by putting in a vector right here. Remember we talked about vectors a little while ago. This is the vector of 1 through 9. You can see it right here. Then it returned 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 8, 16. So it's very interesting. It's almost working. We could actually get it to work and create a loop. So many crazy things going on. It's great stuff. And so now we could actually get it to work. I got into habit of adding a condition to functions that outputs you've entered the void. Did you put like that as a thing, Rose? That's awesome, Rose. You've entered the void. Like if you break it, like saying you've entered the void. You know what you could do? Watch this, Rose. We're having some fun now. We've kind of hit some advanced coding. Let's do beep. I wonder if this will work. Oh, we don't want that one. Can you hear the beeps? Oh, I've got the audio on the computer off. Good. We don't want this one. No. It's all happy noises. Here, watch this. Question mark beep. Plays a short sound. Beep R is a pretty cool coin. Mario, Wilhelm scream, Facebook sword. That's like whoosh, complete treasure ready fanfare queen. Mario. I might want like. I'm trying to think. Wilhelm is. It's the Wilhelm scream. So be careful. We're about to do the Wilhelm scream. It's in Star Wars movies. So will this do this? I think stop. So what we could do. Watch this. If someone inputs a vector now on us, we should. Do I still have that code? Let me do this. Watch this, Rose. I think this is the way to do it. Had to make sure I covered every possible outcome in the algorithm. There were like 32. Yeah, exactly. This right here. Let's see if this does what I want it to do. So now if somebody enters in a vector right here, it should do what I want. And we probably need to put require beep R. So since we're utilizing the beep R function, which just plays sounds, that's a function that plays sounds. And the sounds have numbers. So you're saying play sound 9. That's what that function does. The input is like, what sound do you want to play? So we're seeing if someone enters in multiple things, we're making sure beep R is turned on. That's what the require function does. It says, hey, make sure when someone runs this, that beep R is actually running, because you actually have to have the beep R library, which allows you to do these things, loaded up. So if this works, my function will break and we'll hear the Wilhelm scream. You ready? Now that's a good error message right there. I should send that to Petri. I should send this to Petri. Let me post this in the Discord, like how to break a function. I'm in the chat. Let me go right here. Interesting way to break a function. Warning. Wilhelm scream used. Spoiler alert. So yeah, and so we've got this post in. What's so great is we're posting in there, so we're bringing in I don't want to get his name wrong, so I'm gonna double check. But you can post things in the Discord and have it. We got bot in here, hide user on this channel. Yeah, it's pretty interesting the way to do that. We are bringing in for an interview Jeremy Frank right there. For the interview, I was getting the sizing up for the image right here. But what's so cool on the Discord is you can actually tell it what code to use, and it'll color code right here, the code. So I just posted that on our Discord right there for people to see in the 474 chat. But yeah. And if you look at this, we're just building off of ideas. It's learning a foreign language and learning R, like how to code, are the exact same thing. You learn a foreign language by learning just different words over time. And you're like, okay, now I have to learn this word. I have to learn this word. And you start to use it more often. And what's funny is it's so much like coding because I'll learn words, like I'll learn certain things with code and then I won't use it for like a year and I'll be like, oh, I forgot how to do this. So if you don't use words over time, like quintessential or penultimate, then you're like, what does quintessential mean again? How should I properly use that word? I haven't heard that word in years. And then when I look at code, sometimes I'm like, well, how does an if work again? I haven't done an if in years because there's a format. Like we did some a little advanced coding right here with the ifs, not like really advanced, but we jumped from very, very basics to more advanced. But it's all about learning those little bits of coding ideas because the if looks at the condition right here. So this is the condition inside the if. So the if is a function. So the function part of the if is this. That's the function part of the if. And then you have over here what is run if the function is true. So if the length of y, which says how many elements are in y, is not equal to 1. So if there's not one thing right here in this y portion of the argument, because that's the y portion, it will make the beep noise. So it makes that beep noise. And then if the length is not equal to 1, it will then also stop the function. Now, one thing I've been wondering about, Rose, you might know this better than me, because I code certain ways, and that's why coding is always like a fingerprint. Can we take and put a second thing inside of the first stop? Logically, you can join two lines of code with that. Logically, you can do that. Can we make it look all purdy? Will that work? Where's the near Wilhelm screen? That works too. There you go. Making that code look all purdy right there. Because why start another? We just want to do these two things. I think we can't do this though. Okay, we can. Well, there you go. Just another line of code inside the if. It enters into the if and starts running the code. Just the best way to see if something's possible is just to try it. Just to be like, we're going to hear the Wilhelm scream all day, every day now. Let's go back to like our Mario or something. We'll hear a happy noise now.
Pork dumpling.
Or pork dumplings. Let's go over to Mario. There we go. And yeah, and all the noises are behind me right here, so I'm looking at them. The different noises you can use. Or the ping is actually kind of good. It's like a typewriter ping. You'd be like, nope, nope. A little less distracting for people. We could do the other one for the X vector. Now, what's interesting is you won't hear the X vector. You won't hear the coin if I change it because the function actually stops because the Y breaks it. So the function stops here and never makes it down to this portion. So if we were to change this, we will hear the coin noise now because the function breaks right here. Canvas should play the Mario noise when you submit it. Oh, that'd be so good. That'd be so good. That'd be cool. I actually know someone who actually maybe designs Pearson stuff. I just found out. I found out one of my friends from a long time ago might be a designer for my Pearson UI, the user interface on Pearson. And so I kind of want to be like, hey, so we really would love this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature on my Pearson. And he's going to go do it. He's like, hey, look, I got a lot of things backlogged. But I'd be like, I've always wanted this very basic feature. And imagine if I knew a Canvas UI designer and it was like, hey, when you submit an assignment, what if you could imagine this, Rose, like you might want the Mario noise or something like that, the Mario coin noise or something like that. But what is, I've seen a confetti graphic when submitting before, but the noise would be great. Oh, does it do a confetti graphic? Do they do that now? I don't submit assignments on Canvas. Or a Rickroll, that'd be awesome. Yeah, like it's like, thank you for submitting your assignment, and it's playing something that's like do 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 do. I have an idea for an April Fool's thing this year, but hey, Colin, I've got really good news. And Colin, we need to set something up. Colin, we were giving you shout outs. A few people in my class knew you. I should send you maybe the link to it. But people were like, I was like, does anyone know the guy with the bow tie who his picture might still be up? And everyone's like, Colin, like not everyone, but there were multiple people who were giving you shout outs. So you may have heard people in some Stat 1 classes saying you were talked about. I think we might have talked about you in both classes, but your name has come up. We're very proud of you. And I know someone, hearing banging noises outside, one of my students is doing an internship at Disney. If you want to connect with them, I could give you their information. I'll send them your way. But I've got a student at Disney, and I can set up a really cool image for you. But we're doing an interview next Monday with Jeremy Frank right here, who is a student at Purdue, who is working for the Astros right now. I think he's doing an internship with the Astros. I'll be reading more up on his biography, but during class, rather at the end of class, people said, get Jeremy Frank on the channel. That'd be awesome. And I was like, let's reach out to him. And he was like, let's do it. Monday, happening. So I was making the thumbnail image for it right here. It should be posted, but got it right there. We're good to go. And Colin, we can have Colin on here and talk about analytics and Disney. I'd be honored to have you on, Colin, to talk about analytics and Disney. And yeah, so put out those invites to people. I'd love it if we did one interview a week or one discussion a week. Tried to put out more content. I just posted the thing on LinkedIn. Same here. Cool. Oh, he's quick on messaging. He's like as quick as I am. He's super quick. Got 4 reactions already. 4 reactions, and he's sharing it right there. Awesome. Oh, like, I'm gonna like my own post. I can't like your own post. That looks bad. I'll like it later. Always trying to raise those analytics. Please send them my way. I love it. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much, Colin. So Colin, let's make something happen. Let me send them your way. Do you want me to, do you still use your UTK email? Because I could email you right now, Colin. Let me go back to the main screen. This is maybe stuff. Do you want me to just send them your email right now and just say, like, connect you to? Let me get your email up. Oh, I've got your Disney. I need to make sure I get, okay, let me make sure I get the right name. They just sent me a Disney thing. Oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. They sent me from their Vols. Is it okay? Do you want me to? Okay, your UTK. Let me do that. Let me do your UTK. All right, I'm gonna write the quick email right now and just say, just connecting both of you. Okay. Why is it not showing up on here? Oh, it's only showing your Disney. What is going on? A little chill music while Brian tries to figure out email. Brian is learning how to email again. That's a theme of every day. I'm seeing your Disney. Oh, here we go. Okay, let me get your email. I got your email right here. Got your email, and let me start a new message to, and Colin / Maddie Disney. You know, Colin, I feel like one of these days, Chelsea and I should just take a break and go to Disney. I've been pretty tired over these last 2-ish years, 2 years this March. Pretty tired and pretty like, I don't know, we'll be safe and everything. We'll take precautions as one should. But I'm just like, you know, it'd be kind of super cool to just go to Disney. Just go back down there and see people and be like, hey, Colin, hey, Maddie. Be like, Chelsea, no. We should just go down there and get married at Disney. Well, we're already planning stuff here, so don't worry. So, but that'd be really fun. Just be like, let's go to Disney. Get married at Disney. I'd probably be pretty expensive to get married at Disney. Oh, Morty and Jolly are doing great. I'm half tempted to bring Jolly on camera here. I'm always tempted to just be like, Jolly, come here. I don't know. I might get like freaked out. They are doing excellent. They are 2 happy bunnies. Oh yeah, were you, Rose, was it, I'm trying to think, Jolly had a little bit of an issue. He was not eating for a little bit. We had to bring him to the vet. Morty had an issue about a year ago. He got a little bit of sniffles. So we brought him to the vet. But they're doing great now. They're doing great now. Oh, thank you so much, Colin. Thank you so much, Colin. No, and then we have another student there too. I won't mention. I don't know. We got another student at Disney too. Like and that's what's so cool about the longer I teach at UT. Like students, I'd say my first 5 years. Not that I didn't focus on like continuing to know my students after they graduated, but I put more of a focus on that now to build better connections with current students and students later. Some students have organizations like UT Know that try to build those connections between students and industry, because that's what really matters to us. And that's why I'm doing this interview stuff, is because I want students to like further their career. I want students to be like, let me make these connections, let me meet these people, because I bet Colin will tell you right here, it really comes down to connections. It comes down to going out there and trying, because maybe you apply once, you don't get it. You apply a second time, you don't get it. You apply a third time, you don't get it. You apply a fourth time, and you get it. People want to see that determination. They don't want someone who turns away at the first defeat, because you're going to hit so many defeats. I managed an American Eagle. That defeated me. I waited tables. That didn't defeat me, but I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. You're just going to hit all these defeats in your life. And something that companies want to see is, one, you bring that positive attitude and you're willing to take those falls and get back up. And I've seen people apply to programs in schools and get rejected. Especially if you put your goals really high, you might hit some rejections, because you're going to be in there fighting with everybody for the top goals. It's a lot about who you know. So that's what we're trying to do is, we're honored that let me make sure his name right. Jeremy Frank. I don't know what's his name. We're honored that Jeremy Frank is coming by to talk with us and have this discussion, because his advice, he's doing what so many students want to do. So his advice is going to be just amazing for students. I can't tell someone how to go into sports analytics. Like, I have ideas, I know people, I've seen it happen. I can say like, oh, so-and-so's done it. But when it comes to like sports analytics, the importance of analytics in sports, your questions will be answered this Monday night at 7:30 Eastern. Gotta keep my time zone straight. So swing by, and Colin, I'm sure a lot of students want to work at Disney. So Colin, if you have a time that works, we can just set that date. We can set that time, because here's the easiest thing. Setting dates and times with me, we'll just set it up. We could even probably need to I want to involve the Business Analytics Society more. But obviously, they had their meeting last night. Shout out to Business Analytics Society. And I'm just sometimes it's I'm just going to set this event and do it. But I'm really excited. And it's so cool. Jeremy Frank and I just literally within 24 hours, we got everything going. Got a solid 24 rejections before driving to Nash after class for an in-person interview for a position I'm hoping for the best. Networking with former BAS students, got my foot in the door. Rose, 20 points right there. How many interviews do you need to ace? Who knows? Another 20-point question right here. How many interviews do you need to ace and get the job for? If you are going for positions you want and things you want to do in life, how many of them, at least to start out? I know things are going to change throughout life. Careers change, goals change, family ideas change, things change throughout life. But just to start out, how many of those do you need to succeed at? How many interviews, how many job applications do you need to quote unquote succeed at the start? How many do you want to come to? And it'd be great if there's more, but how many do you have to succeed at? Not have to, but we would love for there to be at least this many. And that's what you got to keep reminding yourself. Be like, I got to land one of these. And if it's something you really want, then that's awesome. And that's what we're trying to do for everybody. We're trying to find their one, their thing. And the thing is you go back, what would it be, 15 years ago, I was managing an American Eagle. And I felt really lucky to get that job. And that was through connections too. I knew someone who managed, and they helped me get a managerial job at an American Eagle. They talked to people. They're like, okay, look, he's got this experience. He's got this degree. He's blah, 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 blah. And then I interviewed, and they're like, okay, you got it. So it's connections. That was through connections for me too. And yeah, you have to it's not that you have to know people, but you have to put yourself out there. I graduated of the MSBA program, gave my resume to her boss, and after a 20-minute conversation, he wanted me to bring in to interview with the rest of the team. Wow, that's awesome, Rose. Congratulations. Keep me updated, and I hope that goes great. And thank you. Shout outs to our MSBA graduate right there. We have so many great graduates in the program who are helping out fellow students and helping make those opportunities. So, just in the future, let's say this goes well and you want to come and talk to students, you're always more than welcome to. I don't know if you said what company it is. You're free to say the company or not free. Don't worry, whatever you feel comfortable with. But if in the future you want to come in and talk to students about analytics and anything, we'll have a conversation too. And then maybe students will be reaching out to you. And if you feel confident, or the student, or like you asked me, hey Brian, do you have students you would suggest for internships, for jobs? Because we've done that too. One of my students got an internship just because someone said, hey Brian, do you have any students with Shiny skills? And I was like, yes. And I sent them 3 students, and I didn't tell them which student to pick, but I kind of knew from the applicants which student, I see the skill sets of students. So I was like, I bet it's going to be this student. And they interviewed, and the student I thought would get it, got it. But I knew the skill set of my students were great. And then I knew one of them was just, they were teaching me things. And I was like, okay, if they're teaching me things, they're going to show so much skills in this interview. And they did, and they interviewed great, and they got the internship. And I'm really honored. And that's, I don't know. It's one thing to just be here teaching topics, but then it's another thing to kind of grow things. HCA Healthcare, I'd love to help future students. Pilot also has about 8 departments needing analytics interns. Oh my gosh. We should be able to get, I know some Pilot people. I should be able to get maybe we could get Pilot on here to do a talk to students about internships and stuff. Rose, do you have any? I could probably look for contacts. I need to kind of do that maybe one of these evenings, look for contacts. I'll tell you this much. Jeremy Frank, I'm a huge fan of him right now because he was he's faster. He replied to my LinkedIn thing in 1 minute. 1 minute. So Jeremy Frank is super quick. Sent me a high-res photo image of himself within minutes. He is about as quick and professional as they come. And I'm hoping reaching out to other companies like Pilot, which is super professional and great company. But I'm just telling you, he set a very high bar for getting things done. And that's something that always impresses me when you work with someone. And I had a typo, and I had the wrong image. He was like, there's a typo here, there's the wrong image here. We got everything done within an hour or two this morning. It was just like, okay, boom, 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 boom. It's all set up. Dates are planned. Good to go. Let's do it. And that's why you ever call up something and it takes 2 weeks to get something done? That's all right. Things take time sometimes. But I like it when someone's like, here's the image, here's this. I got it. Good to go. Boom, 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 boom. I can say the name of the recruiter I've spoken to a Pilot. Yes, email me that recruiter name. I will email them. And we could set something up and have them come on to talk about Pilot and analytics and advertise the internships. And we can up their, because I bet you what they want is they just want more applicants. It's not saying anyone will get it, but it's going to give people more opportunity to see it. So Rose, send me that email with the information. I'll be reaching out to them. And yeah, that'd be super great. I'm sure people would like analytics with Pilots night. We could do Pilot analytics, business analytics, and try to up their applicants. Do a 30, 40-minute conversation with them, talk about how Pilot is using analytics, what software they're using, what they expect for interns, and they'll probably get a few more applicants. I'd say a few more, so definitely worth their time, and people can learn about company. And we're hugely thankful to the Haslams and Pilot. They really are, one, they're leading the way in analytics. They're very good when it comes to their analytics teams. And 2, they've been so just impactful on the university, like the Haslam College of Business. So it is very, 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 important to remember in our lives that giving back helps. This microphone right here, I have the highest quality equipment because of the Haslam College of Business. What I'm able to do right here is not me going out and buying high quality green screen, high quality microphone. When the pandemic started, I said I need the best green screen possible, which you can't see it because it's a green screen. I said I need these certain things. I need to use the microphone. I need the arm. I need the key lights. I need all these different things. And they literally just gave me a credit card, literally. And of course, there's receipts on all this stuff because I can't just go and buy whatever I want. But they trusted me to make the decisions. And yeah, that's really awesome. So huge thank you. Huge thank you. For them just being hey, you need it, go get it. And go create what you're going to create from this. This is what we created. It had already been in the works. So they had already seen some prototyping. They already kind of had idea of what we were doing. It wasn't like I was like, I need all these things. I have never done anything like this before. We had a semester under our belt, a semester and a half rather, a semester and a third, March, semester and a half. So we're really lucky. We're really lucky. And yeah, from here we just continue on and grow further. Well, we might end a little bit early. Rose and everyone else, thank you so much for swinging by right here. We'll be doing class here in a little bit. Waiting for 475. I know, right, Adam? I'm going to end office hours a tiny bit early, I think. We got 28 minutes till 475. We're going to be covering how to do Shiny today and talk a tiny bit about Git. GitHub is a hiccup right there. We're going to talk about GitHub. We'll talk about Shiny today. And we'll look at some really cool stuff. And yeah. We'll look at those first few assignments. Are you ready, Adam? Let's throw Adam some 20 points right here. I think that's got it. I'm going to look at some emails, reply to stuff, get it going. And with that, everybody, we'll be back next time later today for office hours. Things will start to pick up next week as assignments start to come in. Bye for now. Bye, everybody. Oh, no, the visualizer's broken on this. 2 seconds.